Utah beats USC last night, 34-32. And there was one thing I couldn't figure out last week, and that was as people started to break this game down, I got the sense nationally that after Southern Cal went and lost to Notre Dame handedly, that folks just thought they were going to get right. They were going to use the Utah game to get right. And we did the show last week, and I said, they may win, they may not win, but whether they win or not, Utah's not a team you just use to get right. That's not them. They've beaten you 3 in a row. Well, now they've beaten you 4 in a row. They double-dipped you last year, regular season and conference title game. They'll run the ball down your throat. You have struggled to stop it all year. You've had turnover issues. They're number 1 in the Pac-12 in turnovers. Why would you think this is just some get-right, tune-up, let's get ready for the stretch run? They are the stretch run for you, man. If anything, you should be uncomfortable playing them. Well, 4th straight win for Utah over USC, or as you would call it, ownership of USC continues here. Utah came into this game. Cam Rising's out. Whittingham has now announced he's out for the year, so he exclusively produces this show. He is no longer the starting quarterback for Utah, won't be all year. Inside joke there. If you know, you know. If you don't worry about it. Utah comes into this game, 16 explosive plays all season. They had 8 in this game. 50% of their entire season to that point. They just had them yesterday. 47 carries, 247 yards on the ground. It was pretty much the formula you would expect. And also they harassed Caleb Williams, and the offensive line had issues all night. Kyle Whittingham is the best coach in the Pac-12. Who in the world argues that right now? I don't know. He had and always does have great quotes after the game last night. He said, they've got a Heisman Trophy quarterback, but we got a quarterback that's a pig farmer. And we love that kid too. Salute. I mean, as someone who has a pig right over his right shoulder here on every show, salute all the pig farmers, especially the ones who moonlight as quarterbacks for Utah. Just could not have any more respect. And I'm not joking about that. Could not have any more respect for Kyle Whittingham and his program. Everyone has a Lincoln Riley take today. I tweeted out last night, it's a good thing I don't have a Saturday night rapid reaction show because I'd get myself in trouble. If I had a rapid reaction show, I would have gotten myself in trouble after this one because I would have started mouthing off some rumors that have floated around the USC program, and I don't need to do that. But I'm pretty much going to broach them here over the next couple of minutes anyway, so it is what it is. So Southern Cal's allowed 34 points in 4 straight games for the first time ever. They are not serious about defense. USC is not a serious program about physicality. I know they're not because they're not intentional about it. Sure, if you ask Lincoln Riley, would you like to play elite defense? He'd say, yeah. But they're not intentional about it. They just don't care enough. Well, it's tough to tackle in practice. Utah does it. Utah doesn't struggle with that stuff. Is it altitude or something? They have a different way of practicing up. No, they're just intentional about it. They're intentional. The same teams are physical every year, and the same teams are soft every year because they're intentional about it. Southern Cal's not serious about that stuff. Something feels off about that program. They lack physicality. They lack any kind of discernible focus on defense, any kind of trajectory that indicates they may be getting better there. Their recruiting's not lighting the world on fire right now. They can't match intensity in games like the Notre Dame game, games like the Utah game. No players provided to the media post-game yesterday. It's just minor league stuff. I will tell you, several of those things are telltale signs that a head coach is not focused on his business. There are some people behind the scenes, a lot of chatter last week, that believe Lincoln Riley's got one eye on the NFL. I have not talked to him about that. I have no idea if that's true, but I know there are people who believe it's true. Whatever that's worth is whatever it's worth. If I were to hear that, the first thing I would think is, let me go watch his teams. How dialed in do they seem? How focused do they seem? How intense do they seem? Or how wobbly do they seem? That's a wobbly team and a wobbly program right now. That doesn't mean he's not trying. That doesn't mean his staff's not trying. That doesn't mean effort's not being given. It just means not enough is being given because the result is not enough. Now they're sort of at a crossroads point in this season. And that crossroads is, for all the hate Dabo Swinney gets, there's a reason why he's had to be drugged kicking and screaming to even a conversation about the transfer portal. Because his fear is a team constructed through the portal will fracture far more easily than a team constructed through traditional means. And you're about to see that tested because Southern Cal is the former, not the latter. A lot of transfer portal pieces here. A lot of acquired assets here. And you're going to find out exactly how strong that adhesive is, how strong the mortar is between those bricks, because there's a difference in players and a team. And you're about to find out whether they got a bunch of players out there or do they have a team, because they've got one conference loss right now. So everything's still there, at least in terms of the conference title race. Everything's still there, but I'll tell you what else is there. Washington's still there on the schedule. Oregon's still there. UCLA is still there. They're not better than any of those three teams right now, I don't think. I wouldn't favor them against any of those three teams neutral field right now. 6-2. What happens if that's 8-4? What happens if, God forbid, it's 7-5? Because 9-3 is not even good enough for them. So what happens if it's worse than that? At the very, very best, there have to be wholesale changes made and a total rethinking of how that program operates. At worst, you're looking for a new head coach next year. Not because he's fired, but because he's chosen to go elsewhere. And look, I want to reiterate, because that's going to be clipped out of context, I have no specific knowledge of that. I am telling you this reeks of the kind of program that you see when a guy does have one eye on something else. We've seen that in the past. And so I'm saying it wouldn't shock me. That's what I'm saying. And the other thing I'm saying is, even if that's not the case, I know you can't make wholesale changes in the middle of the year, but I'm very interested. If Lincoln Riley's here to stay, which I hope he is because I'm a college football guy, and I actually like Lincoln Riley. I hope he gets things figured out there. But when they get to the end of the year, what kind of changes is he willing to make? What kind of deep dive and what kind of long look in the mirror is he willing to do on that program?